Hey, Toy Stories fam. We are back for another episode today, and I am really excited to talk to you about sexual health habits. I actually just went off on a little tangent and I was like, one of the things I hate the most is that if you're just even single, okay, if you're just a single gal or a single guy, or you're in the lifestyle or you're a sex positive person, it's immediately, well, how many STIs do you have? You're disgusting. Like that's such a misconception. It's one of the things that I wish we can just like do away with. Okay. Because that's the furthest thing from the truth. You know, I think sex positive people and people that are in the lifestyle, sexual health is paramount to us and everything. And I'm getting tested all the time. My friends are getting tested all the time. My partners and I talk about sexual health all the time. And I think to myself, you know, the people who judge me and say stuff like that, I'm like, when's the last time you were tested? Because I'm good. So, okay. All right. So let's lose the stigma over that. All right. End rant. Okay. I also want to ask you, have you subscribed to the show yet? Have you liked, commented, subscribed, followed, all of the things? Please do so. And if you're watching on YouTube, can you do me a favor and send me a comment? You know, comment below. I really want to engage with you guys. So send me a shout. All right. Just say hi, whatever you want. So like I said, the one stigma that I would like to obliterate is that people who are open, sex positive, or in the lifestyle, whatever it may be, it's that they are dirty and reckless with their health or just constantly exposing themselves to any and everyone. When, like I said, in reality, that is the furthest thing from the truth. Okay. It really is. And today I'm going to share with you some of my best sex healthcare habits. And I even have some pro tips for my ladies at the end for some nuances that come along with owning a vagina. Okay. So you're going to want to stick around for that because I have some good things and some good tips for you. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay. First and foremost, and I think this should apply to everyone. And fun fact, while we're talking about this, my gynecologist, who I'm friends with because, you know, I have a very good relationship with her. And, you know, if you know me, then I had HPV and I had a lot of issues with it. I ended up getting a hysterectomy last year. And so very close with my gynecologist. She actually talks to me and shares a lot with me. And one of the things she told me is she said, you know, Adrienne, the people that I diagnosed the most with herpes is married women. She was like, so married women come in and they're like, I've been with my partner married for 20 years or whatever. And she was like, you would be shocked at how many people who are in monogamous relationships, long-term marriages, and then all of a sudden they pop up and have an STI. So I just want to say it can happen to anyone. You should be proactive about your health. And just because someone's sex positive or out there, I feel like I'm beating this to death, but it's important to share. You know, we all need to care. And let's lose the stigma over, you know, what you may think about certain people. And like I said, my doctor was like, married women are the most people that I'm diagnosing with herpes or HPV. So, okay. All right. So here we go. We're lose my train of thought. Regular STI testing. So getting regularly tested. I like to get tested every quarter. That to me seems like a good cadence. I know a lot of couples who they will both go like every other. So like people in the lifestyle, you know, he'll go quarter one, she'll go quarter two. You know what I mean? So like they're flip-flopping that, whatever it means, but make sure you're getting regular STI testing. You know, if you're watching this, when's the last time you were tested? It's important. And I'm actually due. The last time I was tested was in January, so I'm due now. But getting regularly tested, it's a big deal. And there's nothing to be afraid of, okay? It's very easy. And there's so many different ways you can go and do it. Your general practitioner can order for you, okay? Also, while we're on the thought of testing, we want to talk about safe sex practices. So consistently and constantly using condoms or other barrier methods for sexual activity. I mean, that is huge, right? That is the number one way to stop STIs or an unwanted pregnancy, right? Like, what do they call people that pull out? Parents. True story. You know, using contraceptive consistently and correctly is absolutely it's vital to your overall sexual health. Okay. When it comes to sexual health too, you know, communication is everything. So having that open and honest communication with your sexual partners, their boundaries, desires, and then also you're allowed to ask your partner, when's the last time you were tested? How often are you tested? And I've had partners who are like, hey, I want to see your last test. And I have I have no issues with that whatsoever. I feel like that's a very mature thing to ask, and I actually appreciate it. And so it is okay to ask your partners, all right? And also when we're talking about, communication, we also want to talk about consent. That is, you're always obtaining enthusiastic and ongoing consent from all parties and all partners. You want to respect your partner's boundaries and communicate clearly on them, all right? And those boundaries include sexual health, all right? So all of these things all tie up together. And while I'm talking about STI testing and all of that stuff, you want to make sure you're having regular healthcare checkups too. Not only a checkup on the neck up, you want like to make sure you're taking care of your overall health, okay? Getting your screenings, having those tests. I think too, as we get older, I don't know about you, but I see so many people who, someone's having, they get diagnosed with cancer or they have a heart attack. I mean, it's crazy. And I feel like it's becoming like colon cancer, like commonly more and more common. And I want to talk about like your overall health in addition to your sexual health, because that is just as important. Okay. While we're talking about that, and so STI testing, regular health screenings, taking care of yourself, self-exams. One of the things I like to do with my partner is like, you want to give me a breast exam? And it's like, I turned it into like this foreplay for us, but he's like, you're good. I'm like, great, perfect. But it counts, so make sure if you're, with your female partner, you could do a breast exam and make sure that you know your breasts well and any changes that might occur. And just always be looking and thinking about your body, and then advocate for yourself with your doctor. I see so much. I don't know what side of TikTok you guys are on, but I see so many young people getting diagnosed with these breast cancer and colon cancer and prostate cancer. It's crazy. And so make sure you're taking care of not only your sexual health, but your overall health as well. This turned into like an after school special. But it matters and it counts, and I care about you. I think this goes without saying, but maintaining a healthy lifestyle too, like how often you're working out, what diet you're following, everything in moderation. That's what I like to follow, because I don't like to restrict or limit myself to anything. But I will say, I have had a lot of stress over the last year, including my own, diagnosis and stuff. And in that time, the one thing I let slip was my physical health. I stopped going to the gym. I didn't go to the gym for about 3 months, and that was detrimental to not only my physical health, but my mental health. So take a look at that and think to yourself, like, am I putting myself first? Since I started reintroducing, consistent workouts, 4 or 5 times a week, I was telling one of my workout buddies, I'm like, hey, 4 times a week is the goal. 5 is stellar, like let's really reach for the stars here, because it is so true. Look good, feel good. And both of us have been saying like what this has been doing for us. She actually texted me this morning and she was like, I missed our workout yesterday. She was like, I never thought I would be that person, but I am. And I'm like, me too. Like, I love working out. It makes me feel so much better. So make sure, I just want to touch on like maintaining that healthy lifestyle as well. And then, something else that's huge is seeking support when you need it. So if you experience sexual dysfunction, pain during sex, changes during in your sexual desire, or anything else related to your sexual health, don't hesitate to reach out to your doctor. I actually have a tip on this later, but I was having like micro tears. After, an intercourse, I would have like so much pain. And I'm like, what is going on down there? I was so afraid to talk to my doctor. I was embarrassed. I was like, it's just like something doesn't feel right. And she was like, Adrienne, your estrogen levels are really low. And she gave me a topical steroid, and it has been an absolute game changer for me. It totally omitted that problem. And I'm so glad I spoke up, because I was like, oh my God, like what's happening to me? And I was embarrassed and ashamed. I'm like, am I broken? And she had a quick fix for me. And I know erectile dysfunction can be something that comes with age as well. Your testosterone levels dropping. I have so many friends who are on testosterone. There's nothing wrong with that. I will say mostly everyone in my lifestyle crew, they're using a little blue pill. They call it what? Lifestyle insurance or swinger insurance, whatever. This applies for everybody. Don't be afraid or ashamed to talk about it with your partner or your healthcare provider. They have heard it all before, all right? Don't suffer in silence. So if you are experiencing anything like I was with like having micro tears or, ED or any other problems, talk to your doctor. There is a lot of ways and a lot of different things they can do to resolve it for you, okay? So seek that support because it's important. And I also want to talk about, educating yourself, having awareness, stay informed about sexual health issues, what different type of STIs there are and how you can mitigate them, get yourself access to all of that information and be, not be empowered, be educated on what is out there and what you should be learning and knowing and thinking about. Okay. And then when we're talking about sexual health, I have to talk about prioritizing self-care and your own self-pleasure. Okay. I really do feel like solo play, it just promotes sexual well-being. I swear, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. And I don't want you to lose it. So, self-care, solo play, exploring your own body, engaging in solo sexual activities, and nurturing your own sexual desires and fantasies, it's everything for you. Okay. So take some time for yourself. Go over to tracysdog.com, get you a Coco or a P-Cat or a Rosie or any of those things and thoroughly get to know yourself and enjoy your body. Another thing too that my gynecologist told me is she was like, Adrienne, the more that you climax, the more that you achieve orgasm, the better it is for your overall mental health, physical health as well. Like when you're exploring, you're getting to know your body and you're knowing what's normal for your body. And then if something changes, you can address it with your healthcare provider. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I am having these micro tears, or my orgasm feels different following hysterectomy. What can I do? Like talk to my libido is going down. How can I help that? Talk to your healthcare provider about it. They're there to help. Okay. I got a few hot tips for my females when it comes to sexual health. And I think the biggest one, and how many women suffer in silence with this, is this mind-blowing to me. And it's because there's shame with it. But if you have ever experienced the dreaded BV, okay, it is I'll never forget my first experience with it. I was going to meet friends for brunch and I was in the car and I was like, something smells weird. So this is BV, bacterial vaginosis. I'm like, something smells weird. Like, what is that? And then I was like, is something in my car? Because there was no way I could possibly have thought it was me. So then I was like, it's just something in the car. So I go to my friend's house and I'm like, oh my God, I still smell it. I'm like, what is it following me? Is it on me? Is it in my bag? Like, what is going on? And I remember I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh my God, it's me. Like, I'm the problem. It's me. And I was mortified. I remember I was like, oh my God, what is that? Like, how is this happening to me? Like, why do I smell like that? What is wrong with me? That's, no one's ever going to want to touch me again. I was so ashamed and embarrassed. And I actually went to my friend and I was like, hey, can I ask you something? Like, I smell like fish. Like, what is going on? And she was like, oh my gosh, Adrienne, you probably have BV. Like, have you had sex in the last couple of days? And I was like, yes. So what can happen is your partner can throw off your pH balance there. And it may take a day or a few days, but the smell is there. I think any woman out there can say they've experienced this before. And what I didn't know is there are many different ways to help get rid of this. And one of my favorite ways is to use a boric acid suppository. What is that, Adrienne? It is a little white pill. And no, you do not take it orally. You just stick it up there. And then I like to put it up there and then sleep overnight. It does like seep out. You might want to wear like a light day pad the next day because it does have like a little bit of discharge after, but it completely clears you up. I'm not kidding you, like one-time use. And it has been a game changer for me. Even if I'm just feeling a little off, I'm like, suppository. Here we go. And my doctor confirmed with me. She was like, Adrienne, if it doesn't clear it up with one, you could take it again or take it 2 days later or whatever works for you. She's like, but it's okay to take a couple of them. And then I didn't know this either, but if all else fails, and this has happened to me before, your doctor can prescribe you antibiotic and it will clear it right up as well. So I've done that before. The PhD pills seem to really be working for me. I have had no issues. It's been a long time. But I just want you to know it's okay. And it happens to almost everyone. It's nothing to be ashamed of. So use the boric acid suppositories. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can comment if you're watching on YouTube or send me a DM over on Instagram at toystories_TD. I'll send you a link to the product and any questions that you have, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. And it kind of happens all the time. Okay. And I have so many male friends who will say to me, you know, oh my gosh, I went down there and this and that and like the smell, whatever. So be like, notice yourself. Like, that's why I love to promote solo play and self-pleasure, because like you get to know your body and you're like, oh, something smells off or something is off. The boric acid suppository will absolutely work for you. Okay. This is nothing to be ashamed of. All right. The dreaded BV. Okay. Let's talk about something else. And I think that this happens as you get older. I know I am definitely, is it premenopausal, perimenopausal? I don't know, but I had a hysterectomy last year, but I still have my ovaries. I know the change is coming. And one of the things that comes along with that is reduction of lubrication. Okay. And so I want to suggest and promote to you to use lube. Further, if you and your partner are, you know, having an encounter for more than 15, 20 minutes, that's a long time. And, you know, it's all about the friction, and you want to do whatever you can to ease that and make it comfortable for both parties. And so there's nothing wrong with using lube. You want to make sure that you're using a water-based lube, by the way, especially with toys. So make sure you're thinking about that. But I also have a pro tip for you. Like, if you're struggling with wetness and you're nervous about it, or you don't want your partner to know, or if you are just like, no, Adrienne, I cannot use lube, I will not do it, that's fine. I want you to just take like a pea size of lube, and you can just put it around the edge or put a little bit in there before. He'll never know. He'll never know. I used to do it all the time. It works great too, like the week after your period. It's like the little pea-sized lube trick. I've taught all of my friends it, and it really, really works. So lube is your friend. Nothing to be ashamed about. Talk to your partner, okay? Talk with them. Openly share about how you feel about it. Like, hey, and it's nothing on you. It's just a part of life. Or it doesn't even matter how old you are, really, too. Like, if you're having a 45-minute encounter, you're going to be needing that. Okay, so use lube. And I also want to remind you of that story I told you earlier about my reduction in estrogen, and I was having like micro tears. It was super painful, and I was very upset about it. And I swear to you, I was like, oh my God, I'm broken. And my doctor prescribed me this topical steroid, and it has been an absolute game changer for me. So if you ever find yourself dealing with something like that, like, talk to your doctor. There's always something that can rectify a problem for you, and there's nothing wrong about it. Okay. Lastly, if you're a vagina owner like me, you want to remember that your vagina is a self-cleaning oven. Okay. And so if you're using things like scented lotions, scented body wash, stuff like that, you definitely want to stay away from the areas down there. Okay. I know I've actually, like, my friends will be like, oh my God, I love this new shaving cream. And I'm like, oh, be careful where you put all of that, or, body wash and stuff like that. Like, it can throw your pH balance off too. So you want to be very careful with that as well. My doctor would be very happy I'm sharing that with you. Okay. So remember, ladies, PhD brand, the boric acid suppository, it'll get rid of that BV for you. Okay. Lube is your friend. And even with toys, like solo play, use lube. And then if you're facing any issues, and if I'm talking to guys here too, like ED or any of that stuff, talk to your doctor. There are things they can do to help mitigate and resolve problems for you. And then remember that your vagina is a self-cleaning oven. Okay. Be careful with the scented stuff. Be careful with things like that, because it will just throw you off. All right. I will see you guys back here next week when I'm going to be talking all about sexual empowerment for women. I'm very excited about this. I have so many friends who are ashamed or afraid to talk about their sexuality, and I want to change that. So I will see you guys next week.